Greetings everyone, Craig Hester here with R2AWatches.com, and thank you for joining us as we continue on our journey through all the watches and accessories that are available at R2AWatches.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure and hit like and subscribe and ring that bell so you get the early notifications. If you're watching this on Facebook, you want to join the private group Vostok Europe Timepieces, or VET. Don't let the name fool you. We talk about all the watches that are available at R2AWatches.com in that group. Again, that's VET, or Vostok Europe Timepieces. So today we are talking about a watch that I'm excited about just because I happen to have, on more than one occasion, meet the gentleman and interview him who is the namesake of this watch, and that's Big Z, or Big Z. Zydrunas Savickas is his name. That's the Big Z because his name starts with Z. He is, well, he's the world's strongest man. He's had that title 4 different times, and he's also won numerous strongman competitions throughout the world. He's run the Arnold Classic more than once. He has a varied and interesting career, from pulling tractors to doing deadlift, and he holds world records on several things. I believe he still holds the world record on a deadlift. It was like a log shaped kind of thing he picked up. I am by no means an expert on in the world of strongman competitions, but I do know that Big Z is what I would call a gentle giant. I've gotten to meet him at least 4 times, and every time I've always found him to be the nicest, unpretentious you could imagine for somebody who's done what he's done in his life. And he has huge hands that swallow your hand when you shake it. So that's who this is named after. It's actually, he's an official brand ambassador for Vostok Europe. And these 2 watches here, you can see Big Z is on the dial, and you can see that it is Zydrunas Savickas, and I probably just butchered that, but that is his full name, or otherwise known as Big Z. So there are 2 different styles in this Big Z collection. One is the yellow, and it has the yellow silicone strap, but it also comes with an alternative leather strap with yellow accents if it's a little too much for you to have all of this yellow in one. Now there's some people who are going to love having all that yellow in one. They want their watch to be seen from across a room. Not everybody's like that, so it's just a matter of what's a good fit for you. The nice thing is this particular strap really does take the edge off of the heavy color, one-on-one tone, yellow and yellow, and it brings in some more black, but with the contrast stitching. The exact opposite is what the other one is. It is all black with yellow indicators, but again, it's going to get the same additional strap that the other one does. So it just depends on what your taste is. By the way, these are, I believe they're 24 millimeter. Do you know, Abe, if it's 24 or 22 millimeter on this case? It doesn't matter. It's a standard. Oh, I've got it. What am I doing? I've got a caliper right here. 22. So it's a 22 millimeter strap. That's another thing too. That means that it's fairly easy to, if you want to get something aftermarket, if you want to change up this, you can get something in a 22 millimeter without sweating too much. And there are guys who will make custom watches for you, like Konstantin Huzar, the Strap Lord, and there are other guys like that. Scrap Straps. There are places that you could do that. So I will give you the quick tour, some of the basic features and functions. The case itself, it's a 46 millimeter, and it's showing 46.5 on here, but we call this not 46 millimeter. It is 15. It's almost 16 millimeters thick. It's harder to do the thick because it varies depending upon where the crystal is and so forth. So let's call it 17 millimeters thick. This one has the NE57. Hold on just a second, guys. I'm going to show you with the power reserve indicator. So if you look, you'll see right here, there's this yellow tip on another hand. That hand, as you wind the watch, will show you that you're adding time, really. You're adding power to the watch. If you're not familiar with automatic watches, I'll show you here. This one here happens to have an exhibition case back. So I can show you there's this rotor on the back. As that moves with the movement of your wrist, it winds the watch, which is a really cool thing. It is I mean, I still love manual wind watches, and I have some, and they are amazing, particularly for just the purity of the movement with the manual wind. But if you've got a watch you really want to wear on a regular basis, you really can't beat getting an automatic, because it winds itself for you just by the movement of your wrist. So this movement then again has the power reserve indicator. Now what does that mean? Well, when you fully wind up a watch, any watch, not just the Big Z here, when you fully wind up a watch, there's a certain amount of time that it's going to run. It can vary from in the 30s to 45 hours to, some are even longer. There are, when you're looking at some of the high-end Swiss, they can go for days. So you've got an indication basically of when the watch is going to run down, because once it gets a full wind, if you put this, even though it's an automatic, if you put it on your dresser, okay, for the weekend, when you come back on Monday, it's not going to be running. So you have to have either keep it on a winder, or you've got to wear it regularly if you want it to not stop. But if it does stop, that means it'll show you that your power indicator has reached 0. Now, there's something important here too. You can see on here that there's a 0, and then there is an E for empty. Between that period is kind of for want of a better way of putting it, is a little bit of slop. It's basically making sure that that the hand was going to run past 0 anyway. It's going to vary, and then eventually it will hit empty. But really what you want to focus on for your daily wear is after the yellow. See, there's this yellow swipe, which indicates look at it this way. I just thought of this. Now, if you're somebody who never let your car run out of gas or get close to running out of gas, you're not going to see this very often. But most of us at one time or another have had at least the light goes on. So if the light goes on your car, or on your truck, or on your SUV, or on your convertible, if you know that if the light comes on, you still got a little time left. You still got a few miles. It depends on, it varies by make and model of car, but I've found over the years that you're looking at roughly still having a gallon of gas left in your tank, and you can go another 30 or 40 miles depending upon the gas mileage of the vehicle you're driving. Think of this the same way. That little extra is just giving you an opportunity to wind it before it completely runs out. So that's the best explanation I can give for that. Unidirectional rotating bezel, and this is 200 meter water resistant. That means that it is a professional grade dive watch. Two things you have to be a professional grade dive watch. You have to have a unidirectional rotating bezel, and you have to have at least 200 meter water resistance. And then Patty will consider it a professional grade dive watch. Now, Big Z's not a diver, so that doesn't necessarily fit, but that's not the point. He liked this case. This is the M1 Rocket case. He liked the way it looked. He liked the design. So we went with the M1 Rocket, even though he's not a diver. The thing you've got to think about when you're talking about water resistance, it's not just about how much you can dive in the watch or how much water exposure it can handle. It's also a reflection of the quality of the craftsmanship. There's a reason that 5 ATM watches tend to cost less than 10 ATM watches, with some exceptions. Let's set purely dress watches to the side. You could have a 5 ATM dress watch that, for many other reasons, not the least of which would be the brand name, might be worth more. But I lost my train of thought. Where was I, Abe? Oh, I know. I'm sorry. Forgive me, guys, but it gave you a minute to think for a second about something that I'm sure was on your mind, and you've been dying to think about it, and there Craig gave you a good 10 or 15 seconds that you could think about that. All right. What I was talking about is it is a sign of the caliber of the construction. And what I was saying, with some exceptions, that 3 ATM, a 5 ATM is going to cost more, a 10 ATM is going to cost more, a 20 ATM is going to cost more. And then once you pass that 20 ATM threshold, you are definitely talking about a serious dive watch. You're talking about 200 meter water resistance. So it gives you this, it gives you peace of mind that your watch is well built. Again, that's not to deride ones that have a smaller amount. It is just simply to say to you, if you pick up one of these Big Z watches, you're getting a professional grade dive watch. The other thing that makes it professional grade is the rotating bezel. But it has to go only one direction. And that's so that if you're setting the time when you're going to go dive, the worst thing that can happen is you would lose some of the time you've set up. You would never gain, because you don't want to be in a position where you think your tank is going to go empty in 15 minutes, but because the bezel went the other way, it's going to be in 7 minutes. Well, you've got a world of problem. So that's why it has to have a unidirectional rotating bezel for time, for elapsed time. And the thing about the bezel, you can argue that a chronograph watch would do the same thing. Okay, so I'm not into the Big Z. I want a chronograph for my diving. Well, that's fine, but if it's going to be a dive watch, it still will have to have a professional grade dive watch. It still will have to have a unidirectional rotating bezel. And the reason for that is if you have a chronograph complication in an automatic or mechanical watch, or you have a chronograph complication in a quartz watch, that could effectively get damaged if the watch is not, if the water resistance is having problems, if the watch is old. You know, there's all kinds of reasons why watches sometimes lose water resistance. If that happens, I'm just winding this up a little bit more. The unidirectional rotating bezel is still going to be there no matter what. And I mean, short of your hand getting bitten off by something, I guess, you're going to be able to at least see the unidirectional rotating bezel. All right, some of the other features, just real quick, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised to know they're all surgical grade stainless steel. They have a screw-in crown, which again is part of that, making this a true dive watch. Well, come on. There we go. And it's a K1 mineral crystal. That K1 are Gorilla Glass. You've heard me talk about this many, many times. Sapphire is a 9. Regular mineral is a 5. K1 or Gorilla Glass is a 7. That's on the Mohs scale. So it's right in the middle. So you get the best of both worlds. You get nearly the scratch resistance of Sapphire, and you get nearly the shatter resistance of regular mineral. So that's why that's what you see in all of the foregoing to extremes watches from Vostok Europe. All right, let me quickly show you the packaging. It comes in the Vostok Europe Pelican case, made in the same facility as Pelican cases. You can just hear the quality. It also comes with this really great tool that has several different things on it. It's got a little knife, a little pen knife, which is very sharp. Please be careful. Then it's got flint and steel. You strike it with the back of the knife, and you've got flint and steel. And then you've got, oh, this is a changing tool for other watches, besides not the Big Z. And then here is the changing tool for the Big Z on the inside there. So these little tools come with every Big Z. So that alone is a really cool little extra feature that you're getting because you're getting the Big Z, because it's not packaged like an M1 rocket is normally packaged. It comes in a separate box, and it's marked on the outside. Let me see if I can get it in. It's a little big to put under here, but yeah, it's not going to work. Big Z on the outside. Now, there's one little thing. If you didn't know it was there, you might miss it. Inside, behind the foam, is a hand-signed picture of Big Z. How cool is that? Here, that I think I can put underneath here. Yeah. It's a hand-signed picture of Big Z. It comes with every watch, but you've got to note that to get to it, you need to take the back out of the Vostok Europe case. Like I said, it's got the NE57 movement, is a power reserve movement. That other subdial you see, that's the date. That's the current date. Well, it may not be current to you know, I wish I could pull that off. That would be some interesting videos for me. If this changed the date every time that somebody watched it. It's got the sweep second hand. It's Super Luminova screw-in case back, 2 straps, silicone and leather. And again, a reminder that you've got leather that can tone it down if the bright yellow is not your taste. And it's a very easy watch to add another strap to. All right, everybody. Well, I'm Craig Hester, and this has been R2A Watches. Until next time, keep watching.